camera changed because like my head's cut off now.
It didn't. I think you were closer.
No.
Or further
Doesn't
away.
really
Maybe.
change. I don't know. It's fine.
So I didn't touch that at all.
Alright. You didn't change your chair.
I don't think so.
Alright, let's see. We are live, so now all we gotta do is make sure the stream says the right thing on Twitch. Yeah, talking D&D stories. All right.
How's everybody this very snowy Tuesday in Indiana?
Cold. Probably.
Yeah.
All right. So, unless you feel the need to see this, I'm gonna move this over here.
Yeah.
So that way we can read off of this,
Sure.
and then manipulate the map on this screen over here, and I can, if there's any chat comments, I can see them here on my phone.
Perfect.
Okay. So, last time there was at the end of what we talked about, there's an eventful party.
Extremely.
And we did a bunch of stuff. And then some people were going off to different places. I personally missed the next session, which meant that Rasha just was staying at her quarters in Milovich for a little bit, not even very long, like a day or
No, yeah, it wasn't that long.
Yeah, I mean, you can time in D&D games is
When you have teleportation, it's like
it's either you can spend several hours, all in one day, or you can travel, for 2 weeks, in 2 seconds. It depends on what you want to play through, obviously.
Right. So like a bunch of stuff happens and with other characters, and we'll get to all of that one day. But the only thing that is important that happens, which will lead into the rest of Rasha's story, is that Miles Redding, played by our friend Phil, is becoming king, and he has some responsibilities between the king of being the king of Naviez or becoming the king of Naviez, and staying a master wizard, especially when he is under some fire. Well, he has been under some fire for things that he's done in the past. Not bad things, just things that were against guild law. So he gets summoned to Elgard, where Dorian Duval and, to his surprise, Master Asgul Kurd
Elgard is right here.
are at. So Asgul's Asgul Kurd is the guy who no one ever blamed for half the crap he did, because they thought he had a cool style because he would smoke things and speak to people through the smoke, like through illusions. He's kind of like
the
basically.
caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland.
A little bit.
Just a little.
And Dorian, people have lots of problem with because he was a bad guy, but he's becoming more of an ally currently after the war, and he's now a master of the 10th Circle. He took the place of Aaron the 22nd, the fallen kings, the dead kings, the jerk place, and is actually propping up some of the other PCs and helping them because he wants Elgard to be strong, because before he is Erwin, before he's a wizard, before he is anything, he is House Duval. So they summon him there, and they have a talk with Redding. And this is where basically, what's his name?
I don't know what happened.
The master of summoning, the master of the Tower in Bahadina, Asgul Kurd, throws his former student, and now rogue wizard student, Con Draylock.
Con Shane Draylock is, yeah.
Who they fought in Rubidan with the army of Ifrit, and that's who Razim, is allied with, and who's bringing them there. Completely throws him under the bus. It's like, oh yeah, he's a rogue. He went rogue. He's doing all these things, and releases all the stuff that he passed before. That he was like, yeah, it's cool, do that. Yeah, go for it, do it. Sid is a rogue Sha'ir, which the Sha'ir are Rumadani wizards that summon outsider beings and like bind them into service for them, and it can be sanctioned through the guild, and some of them were, not all of them were, and
my poor parents trying to watch in California and the buffering is too much.
It's a shame. With their with Draylock overstepping his bounds and failing, Kurd has to cover his own butt, and they basically task Redding with to like get his name back in good graces. And Redding's a member of the Protectorate, which are wizards who look for rogue wizards, troubled magic, and artifacts that shouldn't be in the hands of anyone else, and stop them or protect them or put them in stasis or keep the world safe. So a Master of 10 and a Master of Summoning, who Redding is a summoner, say, do this to Redding, who is becoming a king. And it's like the last thing Redding has to get done. And that's the most important thing.
Super busy.
Yeah, he is also super busy. He's
just like, oh, great.
Another thing I gotta do.
Another thing. Oh.
So that is the most important thing that happens in the session that Avital was not at.
I believe, since it was in July, I was on vacation. I was at Lake of the Ozarks with my family.
I think that's true. I think that's actually completely what it was.
Considering the date?
Yeah.
7/21?
Yep, I believe that's exactly what it was.
I was definitely at Lake of the Ozarks with my family. Oh, I miss that.
That's true.
Anyways.
So we'll skip all the rest of the stuff that happened, which were some juicy things, but, if we can get other people...
It didn't exactly directly affect Rasha.
It did, yes. Not necessarily in Rasha's story. Exactly. So we'll tell that
another day. So she spent maybe a day, if that much.
Yeah, a day or so. Yeah, exactly. Not long. So we'll pick up where it is after the party, and Rasha spent some time resting in Milovich. The party happened in Talaran.
Talaran, that's right, up here.
And Rasha's in Milovich. And
now she's in Milovich.
After the party, everyone kind of goes their separate ways and has things to do. Rebuilding Erewhon, creating alliances between Erewhon and Caranthus. Some people went off to Catalima to try to do things there. All kinds of stuff. People just sort of went, well, we got these things we want to do, so we're going to go do them. And they do. Redding gets tasked with this thing. So, while people have gone off to do their own things, this will also have to do with the story, but not that Rasha experienced this either. There are 3 places in the world that are attacked by Khan Draylock, and his outsider allies. One is the Hidden Grove of Talaran to try to get to the Temple of Tarlak, and Duwadna and Argoth with other druids fend off some very nasty creatures in doing so. Let's see, another one.
I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going on with werewolves and Treskin.
And Graven.
And Graven, of course, because he was a werewolf, but that by this point, I think maybe he wasn't. And Treskin got turned into a werewolf. But not for very long, I don't think. All kinds. It was funny. We will talk about it, but I was reading about like this adventure and like us, going to the underwater city, and I was like, I don't remember this at all. And then I read what you said Rush did. I was like, oh, that's when I fell asleep.
Yeah.
Because
that's that happens. Man, where was it? There's another place. There were 3 places they went. I read this and another thing.
This is not the only session where I fell asleep, because that happens in this session, and then the session where I role play while asleep is a different session.
Yep.
It's literally.
Anyways,
yeah, we'll get there. That's an interesting thing that happens.
So after Redding was beckoned to meet with Master of Summoning Azul Kurd and Master of 10 Dorian Duval and Elgard, he's been tasked to hunt down Khan Draylock, the rogue wizard, to redeem himself in the eyes of the guild. Knowing this conflicts with his training to be king, well, what does Redding do?
It's somewhere farther down what Redding does.
Dorian and Kurd wish Khan Drelok to be captured, not killed, to be banished properly as through guild law. So Redding has to find aid in doing so. I'm looking at the places that get attacked.
Well, that's further down when it talks about it more.
It's right here, actually.
Yeah, but it's also more further down, I think.
There is more of it later. So it is also close to an event in a celestial event in Naboria that happens once a year called the Night of the Red Eye, where there are 2 moons in Naboria, and the white moon Selbus and the red moon Kynar meet in the sky.
And I'm assuming the red moon is in front of the
Yes.
white moon.
Yes, the red moon is in front of the
red eye.
The red moon. So it's a
so many things happen on that night.
It's a pseudo eclipse.
As I think to the future.
It's a lunar eclipse, or like a dual lunar eclipse.
It's a lunar eclipse, but on a planet that has 2 moons. It's literally a lunar eclipse, but it's a moon eclipsing a moon. So it's still,
right.
I think it would just be called a lunar eclipse, right?
Yeah, so it's like a dual lunar eclipse, because it's actually like...
Dual lunar eclipse sounds like 2 moons are being hidden.
No, 2 moons, because the moon is eclipsed by the planet also. That's what a lunar eclipse is. So like they both pass here with the sun. We know how eclipses work. We know how lunar eclipses work.
I don't, but that's fine. I mean, I do, but I don't. You know what I mean?
So the moons, right? Like, let's say Naboria is here, the sun is here, directly on this side of it. The moons come to this side. And so the sun from the light from the sun, the moons are eclipsed by Naboria, and one of the moons is eclipsed by the other moon. So it creates this...
No, the sun is eclipsed by the moons, right? No.
That's a solar eclipse.
Then I'm confused. But that's okay.
Or that's not a solar eclipse. Solar eclipse is when the planet eclipses the sun, but the sun is not being eclipsed. The moon is being eclipsed.
Yes.
And it's the light from the sun eclipse. That you can still see the moons slightly, but they're not. Anyway,
doesn't matter.
It shines a very red light on the planet, and it makes magic go funky. So
it's getting funky.
However, in different cultures, see it different cultures celebrate it or fear it. And because of its magical properties, like if you worship Hieratus, it's actually called Hieratus Blessing. And certain magics are heightened on those evenings. And
yeah, because he's the god of magic, but then magic is going crazy, and they're like, yeah, Hieratus party, or I don't know. I just made that up.
Because they can do certain things they can't do any other time of the year.
But then some other things are not really working very well.
Yeah, like,
teleportation.
Anybody who's a druid doesn't like that night because it also brings the spirit worlds of the planes closer to Naboria, and things can bleed through. Because, never mind. That gets explained much later. That gets explained a lot later. So on this night of the Red Moon, as they are discovering they have to go after Drelok, it's the time that Drelok uses to attack 3 different temples, which have gates to other worlds to them. One being in the Tarlax Temple in Nabiez, the other being in a place called Atlan that no one knows exists yet. And the third being somewhere else that the party never interacted with, so they're not certain what happened there. So we get to where Rasha awakens.
Yeah, okay, but this is still kind of before? Because this doesn't happen, right? So you kind of change the original time of, her dream, so it's sort of like...
This is it.
It has, so then... Because this happens before the Night of the Red Eye. Because I think they...
Oh, yeah, that's true. You're right. Right.
But yeah, but you can describe the dream.
So, probably the day before Redding goes to That's right, because this is when we're jumping around in time because people were showing up at different times and stuff like that.
Yeah, things like that. Yeah.
So before Redding has to go to this meeting,
we're talking.
Treskin has asked for aid, and Redding can't because he's got stuff to do. But Rasha and Anashi are in Milovich, and before he arrives, Rasha.
We are Redding.
Yeah. Okay. Rasha awakens from a dream of fire and smoke in her quarters in Milovich. In the dream, the flames of the Ifriti scour the world and burn it to ash. She could clearly see a shining, open gateway with streams of fire, smoke, and Ifriti pouring from it, as if the flame consuming all in its path, and the feeling of being underwater.
This was like the first time that I had ever been like, oh, you have a dream or anything, because like my character wasn't anything like mystical or magical or anything like that, and so he described this, and so I wake up and I'm like, I go down to breakfast. I think even
lunch.
With lunch.
Yep.
Well, no, but because I remember, I think I talked to who else was in. He didn't go with us, but I feel like I talked to Ragnar at breakfast, and I was like, I don't know, I'm not really very hungry. He's like, oh, I thought that was. Anyways, I don't know. Lunch. But yeah, anyways. But yeah, Raja has lunch with Redding and Anashi, and they discuss. I don't know what they discuss because I feel your notes are like all in different places, so it's a little funky.
So like you tell him about the dream,
right?
Essentially, and you guys talk about that, and yeah.
All right.
And they take you to Treskin.
Let's see, where's Treskin? Yeah, where is Treskin?
I got it. It's back up.
No, but there was a bunch of stuff without, like, Treskin's not mentioned at all.
It's in here.
Okay, go up. Then somewhere.
So,
where are we when we meet them?
That's what I was reading. If you give me a second to scroll before you scroll.
Where's Balara?
Corinthus.
You're reading. I'm not scrolling. I'm going over here to move the map. Please tell the story of the things that happened that brought me to where I am, because I didn't experience them.
Yep. Just give me a second.
So, Rasha has lunch and gets teleported somewhere else. Isn't that exciting? I'm fairly certain. But the things that occur to bring her to the next place happen in Corinthus, in Balara.
So some people were in Balara looking for Undermountain. They want to go meet the dwarves, and they hear of tales of this is where the dwarves traditionally are from, and they go there and try to do that, and they don't succeed this time.
The thing about dwarves is that we thought they didn't know they existed, or thought they were all gone, or something like that, because.
But Ragnar met a couple
hidden.
Long ago.
Yeah, like a while ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, so they're looking for Undermountain, because Balara is in Corinthus, in the mountains near where, out of character, we know Undermountain is located. Undermountain and farther below it, some drow cities. But,
So they first, it's Ragnar and Stanyak who go out to do this, and they instead meet up with a bard, I guess, who is looking for these pirates, and she's tracked one of them to the forest, and so they end up getting sidetracked from doing that and go help her. And this bard is named Natasha, who becomes Treskin's cohort. And they go out and find this pirate, and they learn some information from him because she's tracking down people that have... She has a scar on her face.
They've hurt her in the past.
Yes.
They have
hurt her in the past.
We'll leave it there.
Her family, stuff like that. So she's got that revenge, that revenge plot going. And she tracks this one pirate down to try to find information on the other three, which they do. They're called the Murderous Three. And one of them, we can just leave it there at the Murderous Three. Captain Rosefort, Sergei, and Ivan the Red. And they also find out that they're going to meet in a secret cove near the caldera of the volcanic islands off the southern coast of the Hyperion Sea, called Cherny Ostrov, on the night of Hieratis' blessing. And the pirate they captured can show you a map of which island it is. Or the pirate they captured showed them a map of which island it is. So
you didn't mention who got there. You said that. Because this talk, you skipped that.
So to get that information, this is when Treskin and Rasha and Nashi show up, as well as Treskin and Gravin. Because
he transported us to Treskin.
Oh, Redding did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
To help, because Treskin was asking for help. It says that Redding transported Nashi and Rasha to Treskin.
Right.
And then somehow we also got Gravin.
Because he was in Elgard.
Yes.
Treskin was initially in Elgard with Gravin doing something else.
Right.
They went to Elgard, and then Gravin took them to Balara. So it's like teleport, right?
No. We arrive on the White Prince.
Oh, that's right. You flew there. That's
Balara.
right.
Yes, so
that's
we
right.
were
My bad. So it took you a couple weeks to get there.
in Elgard, which means this was a lot before the Night of the Red Eye then.
Yeah.
And we flew on a non-magical airship all the way over here to Balara.
This was a while ago. I don't remember.
This would have been a while ago. No, I know. I was just the things that I've read.
Yeah. So they eventually arrive at Balara, and that's where they meet Natasha. And Natasha has hit it off with Staniak, and they're both working on music. And they have this
and they're
pirate captured. They do.
It's so sweet.
Which actually become famous in Corinthus. And then they get that information from this pirate, and they know that the night of the Hieratis blessing is fast approaching. Yeah. And Treskin has come to aid Natasha on her quest for revenge. Gravin has come to ask for Count Staniak's aid in ridding Elgard of the werewolves.
Darn werewolves.
Yeah. And that part didn't happen. Mm-hmm. And everybody else is there for support, to help. So they get the information, and they realize that that they have to act quickly to get on the White Prince, to get there fast enough before the night of Hieratis blessing, where they can actually do something about those pirates.
Mm-hmm.
And that is stuff that didn't happen to anybody else. So it's kind of like a race. They're on the White Prince. They finally get out to it's like there.
Where do they?
Cherny Ostrov in the Hyperion Sea. Oh, Hyperion Sea, go up a little bit, sorry. It's like that place.
This one?
Yeah.
So we're out here, this unlabeled island. However, I mean, there's like a pirate that had to point it out to them on a map anyways, so it probably wasn't labeled on most maps anyways.
And this is very much a see.
But yeah, and then like this is what they have already been doing, so I mentioned that.
What?
Like they've been working on that, and then they've been doing that.
Oh yeah, while they're in Balara, Ragnar and Treskin, like I said, we're looking over Bababa's Canyon, which is near Balara. with the White Prince for like a month. And over the month, they've flown much of the local expanse with it. Ragnar disembarked, climbed the mountains, looked for any sign of dwarves. They found literally nothing. The day before leaving for Chirny Ostrov, the Black Isle, they go out one final time. And they know that it's going to be a 7-day flight to get out to the island on Hieratis Blessing, so they have to leave this day. And on this last look out, while Natasha and Nikolai are writing Act 2 of their masterpiece,
and kind of starting to like each other,
as the last light begins to leave the sky, they see something shimmer while it descends high on a mountainside behind a small copse of trees. It's just beyond the border of Caranthus, in the Resnik Mountains, in the opposite direction of the Black Island.
Yeah, so...
But they are able to...
somewhere around...
Herodor.
Since that is the...
somewhere around there.
Dwarven city.
Right. So they're able to mark it on their maps to come back and look for it later. But unfortunately, they have to head back to Balar to prepare to leave in the fast approaching morning. In the morning, many of them they've rested well. Not everyone has, though.
Yes.
Go for it.
What, you're not sure, you just like weren't talking, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, the crew of the ship are not super excited because nobody flies, or I guess is in the ship on Hieratis Blessing. So some of the crew that are not the PCs are nervous and muttering prayers and things like that.
And they appear on that pirate ship. It's the pirate that they interrogated. They appear on his ship, and that guy's kind of surprised, while the White Prince itself is flying there, so that pirate basically doesn't know that there are reinforcements coming. It's just, oh, we appeared, it's just going to be these people here who are going to sneak in with me, and maybe we have a chance. So he's not like quite as worried or as alerted, right? So they are sailing and flying toward the Black Isle, which is named so for the volcanic soil and obsidian deposits that line the coast. On the final approach, the crew is quiet. This is what you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is when the White Prince kind of meets up, and there's no flying. Like, the ship, yeah. No flying on Hieratis Blessing. The light of the day fades in the sky. The ominous red glow pours over the land. A stiff wind blows. Boop, boop, boop. The wind churns and the sea and the White Prince sways.
Which means it's not flying anymore.
No, it had to land in the water. From the crow's nest is heard, "Land!" As the sailor shouts, the glowing caldera appears on the horizon, made all the more menacing by the red of the choppy waters. It's been said that Caranthus created airships to avoid navigating the Hyperion Sea. And they have to skillfully sail past the numerous jagged granite rocks with juts of obsidian that into the sky, to the only inhabitable bay on the inner ring of the caldera that spills out into the sea. So the volcano just kind of continuously spills out because that's how islands are made.
Yeah, so I would guess in here.
Yes, yep.
If you can see where the arrow is on that little bitty island over there. Right in there.
They get close enough to swim to shore without much danger. Oh, no, I'm sorry. They successfully navigate through... I read the wrong thing. Apologies. They successfully navigate through the treacherous rocks. They make it to the beach line down the shore from the spewing caldera. As they approach the cove, they notice 6 ships are anchored safely in the bay beyond the rocks, where the waters are less rocky. And they see a grove of trees just beyond a hill. Where the hill intersects with the volcano is a wide cave mouth. And venturing into the dark of the cave, they make their way through easy terrain on natural paths, steps, and crossovers until they approach an area emitting light around a bend of the cave. From beyond, they hear voices faintly echoing. They cautiously approach, and the cave opens up to an outlook in a large cavern that descends into the ground. In the center of the cavern is a raised piece of land with pathways that have been carved up to it. As well, all over the dimly lit cave are other points like this, exits and entrances, giving it the effect of a grand hall. Gathered within the walls of the cavern are dozens of sky pirates and sea dogs. On the raised ground in the middle of the cavern sits 6 men, 3 of which they believe to be the murderous 3. I'm gonna let you take over now, because this is where you guys started just being...
I don't remember this at all.
Really?
Yeah, I literally don't remember this at all.
Because you made some of those checks.
I know, but I don't personally remember it.
Okay.
But so at this point, we had to figure out a way to get to the murderers 3 without them running away or without having pirates stop them. There's going to be some kind of a fight. So at this point, Nanashi steps forward at the pirate summit as a legendary captain, because he's a legendary captain, Nanashi, right? They've all heard of him. Through his guile and cunning, he convinces the pirate captain to add him, to remove Sergei.
Which...
That happens in a second, so don't read that part. This part, don't read that yet. And the other 2 members of the murderers 3, and he, Captain Ras, Captain Otodake, and Captain Fuerte are the pirate union. They let Natasha kill Sergei, and she went crazy in doing so, apparently.
Yeah, she Sergei did some bad things to her, and as soon as Nanashi convinced the other ones to cough up Sergei, and Sergei turned to run, she was right there and just stabbed him, and then kept stabbing him. And as Nanashi was talking to the rest of the pirates, which kind of makes him look like more of a badass, she just keeps stabbing him, until eventually Truskin has to come, calm her down and pull her off of the dead man's corpse that she's stabbed repeatedly.
He did really, really terrible things to her that we're not going to mention.
He did. Yeah, so...
Like when she was a kid, he did these things to her, so it's really, really, really awful.
Mm-hmm. He was an awful person. Deserved what he got.
Yep. Yeah. So they split the dead captain's ship's crews and loots.
Because the other captains then, the ones who are about to get called out and thrown off the council, sort of a little fight ensued, and the heroes took those guys on and defeated them. And with that, the murderous 3 were done. They were gone. Mm-hmm. And as it is in the Pirates' Accord, well, they were captains. We split it evenly. So their ships, their loot, their men, everything. So Nanashi gained a ship or 2. So did some of the other pirates. And he gained a good rapport with these other captains. Captain Robert Ross, Captain Otodake, who was also Nahurin, and Captain Fuerte, who is also a very evil man. Not every pirate was here at the summit, but these were the main ones.
Sure. Makes sense.
Yeah, after... Natasha doesn't really explain why she did what she was doing and why it went on. Only afterwards she says he deserves far worse than the death I gave him.
But yeah, the party members got to collect the bounty on those pirates, and then we go back to Balara. Which again...
You head on your way back to Balara. You're not instantly there.
Right, that's true. We don't actually go back to Balara.
Right.
They did that. And then other things happen. Because it's still the Night of the Red Eye.
So it is the Night of the Red Eye, and in other places in the world, things are going on. And,
Okay. Not this.
This is when Redding and Argoth and Duodna face the enemies in Talaron. And know that something
happened
was wrong.
while we were dealing with the pirates.
Yeah, while they're dealing with the pirates, Talaron is attacked by the Outsiders, which, Draylock sent to try to gain the Temple of Tarlac so he could use the gate for his own nefarious reasons. And Redding can infer this based on the meetings that he had with Kurd and Dorian. So just after that, Redding and Argoth...
I think just Redding.
Oh yeah, that's right. Redding transports to Treskin.
Yeah.
And asks them to help.
Yeah. So, Rasha... I don't know. It's written somewhere. Not here. Rasha reminds Redding of the fact that we've got this decomposing, by this point, arm of Razim the Afridi. So with the decomposing arm, they are able to scry where Razim is.
Which Jason also forgot about that. And when the players brought that up, I was like, oh, yep.
Yeah, well, that's good.
You can totally do that.
But yeah, so then it's...
So Redding views using the...
At this point, we're basically still just on a ship.
Just off of the island.
Literally, like we just finished our business with the
pirates.
Night
of the Red Eye.
It's still the Night of the Red Eye.
Still in the background. Pirates are leaving the summit. Redding appears on the ship and asks for help. So this is one of the few... The occasions where Phil is playing two characters and Gravin and Redding are in the same place.
Doesn't happen that often. We try to make it not happen that often,
but
just
occasionally it overlaps because that's where people are.
It can be a little difficult.
So Redding takes the arm and begins scrying, and he views an ancient room with a gateway in the center of it, much like the one in Tarlak's tomb. And before it stands Razim and Drelok. Drelok is chanting some incantation before the gateway that causes it to occasionally flutter. And he hears Razim say, "I will go and gather the others. The ritual is nearly complete." Then Redding comes out of the scry and informs the others that the gates... of the gates, because this is something like really only certain wizards know about. This is not a thing that everyone knows about, right? Because if you have these super powerful things, why should anyone know about that? But he's like, all right, my friends got to know. I need some help. These gates exist, and I have been given orders to capture Drelok and return him to the guild. However, he does realize that Drelok is on the precipice on the world, which goes back to the dream that Rasha had at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. And if they go now, they have this now, like literally right now, they have this one chance to prevent catastrophe, the likes of which have not been seen since the demon wars of the Second Age, because this will permanently open a gate to the plane of fire, the city of Brass specifically, and the planar wars will then spill over onto Naboria. And no one wants that. As a member of the Protectorate, he has to do something.
Yeah. Redding knows that he can try and teleport them there, but there's a chance that it won't work because it's the Night of the Red Eye. There is more specific, and he might. Oh, see this. This is.
Yep.
This is that actual description.
Yes. So
we'll
Redding, go through the actual description of things. Go for it.
Redding appears on the ship in a flash with a ripping sound. Because again, he teleported there and it managed to work, but stuff is wrong. Something was not correct about his magic, but he paid little heed to it and charged forth calling for his friends. They each came to the deck and Redding tells them of the attack that just occurred in Talaron on the Temple of Tarlak and the Hidden Grove. He and Argoth were able to repel the intruders to the temple after Arcady came to them injured seeking aid, but Duwadna and his druids were still combating some being that appeared in the grove to ransack it. Redding doesn't know what happened in Talaron yet. However, he's certain that Khan Drelok is behind the attack and was attempting to seize the gateway in the temple to use for his nefarious plans. Oh yeah, see, with the decomposing arm of Razim that Rasha reminded Redding they still had, they're able to scry where Razim is currently. Yeah, so Redding views the ancient room with a gateway in the center of it, much like the one in Tarlak's tomb.
Yes.
Yep, the ritual's really nearly complete.
And everything, said.
Redding knows what a gambit is ensured. He could attempt to teleport them all there. If it fails, who knows what will happen. If he succeeds, Drelok will never expect it. When the group is ready, Redding riskily teleports them to the place he scried upon where Razim and Drelok were currently.
So
there was a 50% 50%
Exactly.
failure chance.
So on the Night of the Red Eye, summoning magic is 50% likely to fail or succeed.
Teleportation is summoning magic?
Yes, it is. And he did so. And succeed doesn't necessarily mean fail and you're dead. It means like something else happens. And there's another chart that I roll on for that. Because it could be a mishap. It could be extra crazy stuff happens. Because it's Night of the Red Eye and it's close to the plains and it's conjuration magic.
But yeah.
So they appeared in a 60-foot by 60-foot round coral room.
So this is the point where Avital was awake to remind Redding that they had Razim's arm. But again, this is the point. It's late at night, and I usually get up early. So I am fairly certain that I fell asleep between reminding them about the arm and the actual battle happening, because I don't remember any of this. And as you can see, as you will about to see in the battle description, I didn't do much exactly. I did, but because I was asleep, they just sort of had to have my character do something. But yeah. Yep. But they appeared in the 60-foot by 60-foot round coral room. If you remember Rasha's dream, there was a sense of her feeling like she was underwater. But yeah, but none the worse for the wear.
In the center of the room stands an open gateway. Drelok kneels before it, speaking the last phrases of some forgotten ritual. Razim walks back into the room with some kind of angel, another Afrit, and a Marid. Something causes the room to quake for a moment as they arrive. Then it passes. Natasha sees the shadow of something too large to comprehend in the waters above them when they realize that they are underwater. Knowing there's little time to react, Redding begins the battle by attempting to end it, but a spell was reflected back at him. Drelok and his bound outsiders were now aware of the party. Natasha unleashed a hail of... Nanashi unleashed a hail of arrows at the Marid, taking her down. Treskin and Ragnar charged in as well. Razim met Ragnar and Treskin...
Razim met Ragnar.
And Treskin battled with the angel that appeared shadowed. Stanyek bested the Ifrit and released Redding...
magic.
Yes. And released Redding from his own spell that was reflected back at him from...
Which I'm guessing was some sort
Drelok.
of... I don't know.
It was a spell just to put him in a... It's a specific spell. It puts him in like a casing of amber for so many days.
Jeez.
However, Stanyek was then cursed by Drelok with feeble mind, which makes him useless as a caster.
But it can cause a couple different things, right? Because then he, in turn, which I'm guessing is Stanyek, according to what your thing says, or was it Drelok? Because you're...
Yeah. I'll just keep reading.
Yeah, but your grammar doesn't make sense. That's why I was asking.
That's why I was going to keep reading.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense.
Okay. So, then Drelok curses Nanashi to his doom should he fire another arrow at him. And this is something that Stanyek realizes before he becomes feeble-minded and tells Nanashi not to shoot an arrow, because if he would have, it would have just come right back at him and killed him.
Yeah. And then once...
Treskin tried his might at attacking Drelok next, but didn't fare well against him.
Once Redding was freed, he freed Stanyek.
Oh, right, yeah.
Nanashi.
Right. So they all kind of take some time to get each other out of the problems, and other people focused on the fight. Treskin tried his might at attacking Drelok next, but did not fare well against the host of protectors he faced when doing so.
So Rasha remained hidden from the conflict, waiting for the chance to steal the black scroll that Razim carries, which is one of the things that they're trying to get, so that it couldn't be used for Aki, so it couldn't be used for evil. This is because I was asleep. So they're like, okay, well, Rasha can do that. Because that makes sense, because she is sneaky. And while not a rogue, she is a scout, which is, personally, I think better than a rogue. But for different things. But anyways.
With the outsiders dispatched, the Ifrit and the Marid and the Shadow Angel. The party focuses on Draylock, and it was not long after that before Redding caught his enemy in a large gem of amber, body-sized gem, and the fight was over. Draylock's plan was subverted, and he was captured. Redding's spell would only last a matter of days.
Which is a long time for a spell, though, still.
It is. But he knew he only had so long to take him back to the guild, so they could not dally. And he knew he had to get Draylock there as soon as possible. But there was no time to discuss, as the colossal creature in the ocean depths began crushing the dome during the battle. So while they're fighting, some huge creature that they couldn't really fully see outside is squeezing this underwater dome that they're in. Just crushing it.
Had finally ruptured it, causing the whole temple to flood.
Yes, quickly. Under the depths, water rushes in, moving bodies unnoticed before around the flooding temple. The throne room beyond, which was littered with the corpses of some merfolk creatures that once thrived there. Throughout the structure, the remains of those who either attempted to flee the villains or fought against them are strewn and crushed by the rushing water. From the horror, they saw that none, whatever the civilization was, that they didn't even know about before, no one survived Draylock.
We get to see Atlantis for like 2 seconds and then it's gone.
A civilization completely lost to time, now gone forever.
I forgot to show you. Because I know where we are on the map, because it's on the map.
Yes,
It's over here.
They actually at this time didn't know where they were on the map.
They didn't know where they are on the map. But see, they were up here, right, in Balar, and then on this island, and they transport down here, underwater, to Atlan. I mean, Atlantis. Atlan.
Atlan's is a word.
I'm here for merfolk fossils. Bring them back! Bring them back!
So with little other choice, Redding attempted once again to teleport, he and his friends, before the crushing waters swallowed them all, and their entire gambit was for naught. They arrived in Racer, which is this...
Where's Racer?
It's not on the map.
Oh.
The Racer is because it's all over the
floating?
place. Yes.
It's the floating wizard city.
So there's a giant island that floats in the sky that is like basically the main hub for the Wizards Guild, and it's where people teach and meet, and it's a secret place. Wizards only fools.
Rasha, with like no experience with magic, is suddenly in a floating wizard city. She's just like,
and it wasn't like Redding had permission to bring him here, but he really had no other choice.
No choice.
So they arrived at Racer in his personal quarters in the Tower of Summoning, after he, again, definitely did not get them murdered on the night of the Red Eye.
Yep.
Quickly, Redding sought out Master Tom, who is his, in the Protectorate, he is the master, the leader of the Protectorate. He's also in Nahurin, who took the encased Draylock to a holding cell of the Protectorates. Also, discovering Treskin had been bitten by a lycanthrope earlier in the things that he was doing with Gravin, who they left Gravin behind on the ships to help get the pirate ships back to the Blood Isles. Nanashi stuff.
Oh, I want a floating city for barbarians. It's raining barbarians, hallelujah! That sounds amazing and terrifying.
So Redding notices that Treskin is bitten by a lycanthrope, and he was placed in a safe chamber as to not be a threat to anyone. Master Tong guaranteed Treskin will be cured in the morning once the full moon's passed. Because it's like a dual full moon eclipse. Like that, if you're they're like, you did what?
We're lucky that
get in that box now.
He,
made his saving throws. Because I had him saving, and he made them.
Thank goodness. You're a werewolf. You get to be a werewolf. Everyone gets to be a werewolf.
That almost happened. Also, Tong kind of urged Redding about the dangers of teleporting on this night, and Redding's
sure
like,
Redding was aware.
I know. Tong has to do what he's got to be a master. He's like,
why
are you doing this?
I'm required to tell you.
This is a bad plan.
That's a dumb idea.
Yeah. So the group is given quarters by Redding and laid down to rest, exhausted from all that had transpired on this fateful night.
That was a lot. Like the same night, Rasha did this thing with the pirates, and then this thing in this secret underground city that she's never gonna see again. Like, holy moly!
Oh, let me do something.
That's next time. Okay, so
yep,
that's mostly done.
So that ends this
particular
session. There are some things that Rasha did not play through that are important to mention because it will come up next time. That happened in this session. So, that happened in Catalima, which mainly is Belmont.
They could be anywhere in the floating city. We don't know where they are.
Yeah, no one knows where it is.
It floats, it moves.
Belmont, the dashing paladin of Bestine, has gone to Catalima.
Sorry, I saw in your notes that you actually like intended for like Rasha to know that like Belmont was having troubles and to help them, and I was like, oh, that never got played out.
Nope.
And she ended up getting closer to somebody else.
Yep.
That's kind of funny.
That's how it played out. So Belmont goes down to Catalima because Laufweir is back and like he's outlawing the good gods, and there's stuff going on there with another character called Gustavo, who has become like the Pope King.
Super Pope.
Yeah, of a section of Catalima. Instead of it being wiped out, he successfully negotiated being under Laut and him being the ruler of this area, like a religious ruler. And Laufweir is like, okay.
Have we described who Laut is?
Not yet. We'll get to that. So, this evil thing has come back, though, and is taking back its territories. And as doing so,
what
he's...
evil thing? Oh,
Laufweir. And as
wait,
doing so...
He's gone?
Yeah. We'll get to that
Sorry.
later.
So many things
for like ages.
Don't know.
So Belmont goes down there to try to help out in Vergena, which is like the home for the Temple of Bestine. It's their holy site and all like that, because they're being oppressed and they're having troubles.
Help! I'm being oppressed.
Through that whole thing, he ends up the priestess of Bestine leave Vergena as he is taken north to Catalima City, and this is kind of the reason why, so that Laufweir can focus on him, and Gustavo takes him in there, and they are all banished from the city, their home city, and they flee south to Saldana, where they also meet with
where is this again?
in Catalima, where they meet with
where's
Vergena, Saldana.
Okay, gotcha.
Where they meet with clerics of Inanna, who are another good god in Catalima that is also being persecuted, and they also flee. They actually hop on a ship, or a couple of ships, of the Crimson Swords, captained by Sangre de la Sombra, who is someone who comes around later, is an important NPC in other people's stories, and they sail away to Nabias. It's a long journey.
It is a long journey.
But they leave their country and go somewhere that will hopefully be better for them.
Because how do you sail if you're sailing to Nabias, you have to go around a whole bunch of stuff.
It's a long ways.
Dang.
It took a long time.
Wow, no kidding.
Which isn't bad because they're kind of at sea and sort of unreachable, so they can figure their stuff out. But that was not a part that was played out. That's just what happens. The part that was played out was everything with Belmont, and the only reason it is important is for the next time. So we know that Belmont has basically been captured by Laufweir, and in the end, forced into servitude for Laufweir.
Who's Laufweir?
Just so that his people, his faith, can leave Catalima safely.
Remember, he's the paladin of the goddess of love.
And that's a good place to end for today, because that will immediately lead into the next thing. Both of these, the capturing of Draylock and Belmont's
imprisonment,
both lead into the next section.
Laut is
awesome.
Are we gonna talk about Laut at all? At least say
sure
a little bit, just tiny little. Something.
So.
Well, something about Laut.
Emperor Laut, as most people know him, was
of Catalima.
The emperor of the ancient Cataliman Empire in the Second Age, who was banished for crimes against the world by the Mages Guild that had freely formed in the Second Age, which is
how long ago was that?
Thousands upon thousands of years ago.
Oh, look, he's still around. That's so weird.
And well, he was banished then, and they were like, good, he's gone. We don't got to worry about him. Because they couldn't figure out how to kill him. So they banished him to the abyss.
Gee, why can't they kill him? It's so weird.
Along with Liliath Thalandria, who later people know better as Lolth. They're both banished to the abyss. She becomes a goddess. Something else happens to him. So, what he really is one of the firstborn dragons.
Wrongfully convicted.
who
Sure, Lout was wrongfully convicted, and Lily
pretends to be human a lot of the times to convince to like eternally rule this nation of his that he claims.
Andrea did nothing wrong. Andrea. Nothing wrong.
When other people were in the plains during the previous to the war against Erewhon, when they were trying to find artifacts, Duwadna, Nicola, Andala, and Sin went into the plains on an adventure to find one of the artifacts. And they did. It was the Nexus Crystal. But they also ended up in Sigil after this whole thing and trying to get back, where they actually met Lout. And this is the first time anybody had seen him.
When
and
did
he
they
was
meet Lout?
This is a long time ago.
Oh,
It was not
okay.
before you even played.
Well, yeah, that's easy to be.
It's before, like I said, it was before the War of Erewhon.
Okay.
They negotiated to get back to Naboria because they had no way to get back to Naboria, and Lout did. As well, they negotiated with him a non-aggression pact when he returns between Navias. From Navias. Because he knew what he was going to do and didn't want trouble when he was going to do it. He also, in order to get them back safely, took the Nexus Crystal. This is all part of the bargain that those guys made.
I don't want no trouble from y'all later.
So when they come back...
He doesn't sound like that.
Lout has the Nexus Crystal. The important thing is Erewhon the 22nd didn't have the Nexus Crystal, but Lout has it. And so those heroes go back to the elves like, well, we didn't get the crystal, but Erewhon doesn't have it, and Laufweir's back. And everyone's like, oh, crap. So Lout has been back for a while, and there have been things going on in this part of the world that no one's interacted with or played with until another friend of mine, Adam Rissmiller, played a character who was involved in that whole thing, and then Lion plays Belmont and gets involved in Catalima stuff too after the war.
Because of his
And this is where they go and exactly. And this is where they go and find out what's been going on in Catalima. As it's no longer these city-states, the Cataliman Empire has returned. And so this leads into the next part of everything for the next adventure.
So many things happening.
Yeah, it's a,
and
like
Rasha
living,
literally
world.
is like, this thing happening right now that I can help with my swords. Let's go. Let's go. Leroy Jenkins. I mean, she is chaotic. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
She's chaotic good, but I feel like I, as a person, it's easier for me to play the good part than the chaotic part. She still did some stuff, you know, that was just all over the place, but, like, I just remember, like, later talking in character to other people about it is really difficult for me to play not a super nice character, right? Like, it's really difficult. And a player, we'll get to this eventually, but a player told me in character, we were talking, he says...
Keep going. I'm just seeing who that is.
The past is already gone, the future's not here yet, today's gift, that's why it's called the present. That's true. That is true. I don't remember who that is. I apologize. I don't remember the usernames.
That's so great.
All the time.
True nerd.
But yeah.
I think it's Matt.
Who is that?
Is that Matt? Is that
it?
Matt Quiet?
Maybe. But yeah, he said that Rasha is like Scott.
Scott. Oh, what's up, Scott? How's it going, man?
Hi, Scott.
Been a minute. Hope you're well.
Rasha, you know why that we gave this thing to you is like because you are the like most pure and wholesome and uncorrupted person out of all of us, and Avitel's just sitting here like, Thank you. Also just because it's so difficult for me to play, like, bad characters or people that do even, like, mildly not nice things sometimes. I don't know. I'm working on a fun little campaign that I'm going to run, and it's very silly and lighthearted and not run in D&D or anything. It's going to be run in Quags, which is quick A game system. It's more about role-playing and not about dice rolling. And I'm like, oh, there's got to be some sort of, like, antagonist, but it's based on Candyland, so it's not going to be anything super... Well, it could be. We don't know. I don't know. I haven't gotten there yet. Anyways.
They're invaded by the Coffee King and his bitter knights.
Have you not played Candyland?
I've played Candyland,
Do you not know who the antagonist of Candyland is?
I do. I'm just making stuff up.
His name is Lord Licorice, and don't you forget it.
You can expand the world.
I can. It's true. It's true. But, anyways. That's all for today. I'm actually going to be streaming later today because I didn't have to work this morning because there's a blizzard. So UPS actually called me off of my shift, which almost never happens.
Right.
So I'm going to be streaming later, probably around 5:30. I'm going to stream West of Living for a couple hours because it's a super fun game and I want to play it. And then...
There is like 8 inches of snow outside.
Yes. Howdy to you as well. There's a lot of snow outside. So I don't know if I'll work tomorrow or not, but I'm going to stream for a couple hours tonight. And then... Probably, I'll either start at 5 or 5:30, and I won't stream past 8 because a friend of mine starts streaming at 8, and I want to watch him and support him. Radio Kyle, if you want to, follow him on Twitch, you can do that too. And then on Thursday, of course, I might change the time, so it might be noon Eastern, might be later. I'll be doing crafty things and working on, I'm starting on a green crewmate plushie, and it's going to be Saikuno with the green on the leaf on the head, and it'll be fun.
Also, at some point soon, we'll are going to start having other friends who are involved in Naboria on here and telling the stories of their characters. Mm-hmm. We talked to a few people, and they're interested.
And those will happen at
different times.
Whenever we can happen to be able to schedule them.
Mm-hmm. Possibly weekends. Yeah,
that's likely. It's quite likely. Anyways, thank you very much for coming and listening for a little while. It's been fun, and
hope you didn't find it too confusing.
Yeah. We'll see you next week at noon.
Take care.
Tuesday, noon Eastern, for more RPG story time. Bye. I can't find the end stream button. It's fine.